In this video, I want to compare the Hiboy DK1 Kids Electric Dirt Bike to the RFN E500 Kids Electric Dirt Bike. These are both great options for children, but in this video, I want to show you the differences between these two products to see which one might be the better choice for you to go with. Before I get started, the first thing I do want to point out though is that this originally came with the rear fender as well, similar to this, but my nephew crashed it and broke it off. So now it no longer has a rear fender, but it still has its front fender on. So just if you think, oh, the tail of this e-bike looks a little funky, that's probably why. This one, however, hasn't been crashed yet, so it still has its front fender and its rear fender. So one thing I do want to clarify before I begin. But let's get into some of the differences right away. So the first thing that is different about these e-bikes is the tire size. The Hiboy has a 12-inch tire where the RFN has a 14-inch tire. So this is a little bit larger, and I feel like it's a little bit grippier and a little bit more durable because this just has spokes on it, where this has these nice metal bars supporting the rim of the tire. So I feel like the weight capacity is much better on this bike compared to this bike. The second thing that's different about these e-bikes is the suspension. Now they both come with front and rear suspension on both of these products, but for whatever reason, the RFN suspension is way better. It's more comfortable, it compresses much more softer and gradually. It feels way smoother to ride this over bumps and rough terrain, whereas the Hiboy feels a little bit more springy, a little bit more clunky, and a little bit more rigid. So this feels way softer and smooth to ride than this does. And also I think something that helps with that is the seat, where this seat is like a normal dirt bike tire or dirt bike style seat. It's very soft, very compressive, where this one a little bit more firm, a little bit more rigid. Another thing that's different is the size between these two e-bikes. This one is a little bit taller, sits up a little bit higher than the RFN, is a little bit more lower and resembles more of a dirt bike feel, especially since the handlebars kind of just go straight across, where these handlebars are kind of raised up. So what I notice about that is if you put a smaller kid on this, maybe a 3 or 4-year-old, this does feel a little bit larger, a little bit harder to manage for them. But if you put that same 3 or 4-year-old on this bike, it seems to be just a little bit easier for them to ride. So that is one small difference I noticed with it. But then if you put too large of a kid on here, this might feel a little bit more crammed, a little bit more condensed, versus this one sits them up taller and might be a little bit more comfortable when it comes to the ergonomics. So that is a slight difference between these as well. I noticed that I sit on this a little bit more comfortably and fit on it more comfortably, but this one doesn't really hold my weight capacity because the suspension's not that great and the motor's not that great, whereas this one, it holds my weight, it holds my, the suspension works fine, but I just feel a little bit more crammed on this thing. So the size of these things are a little bit different. Another noticeable difference between these products is the braking experience. On the Hiboy e-bike, it only comes with a left-handed brake and it's mechanical. It's a little bit harder to squeeze, especially for children, and it just does a so-so job when it comes to braking, whereas the RFN e-bike comes with 2 brakes, one for the front tire, one for the back tire, and these are hydraulic disc brakes, so they are way better quality. They're super easy for kids to squeeze, and they stop you way more safely, way more abruptly. So I feel like that's a little bit better, especially if your kid's gonna be traveling at a little bit faster speeds. You want something that's gonna brake adequately in a short amount of time. The motor size is another difference between these two products, where in the RFN, it's a 700 watt motor, where in the Hiboy one, it's only a 300 watt motor. And you can actually feel the difference when you put a larger person on it, because when I sat on this in its top speed mode, I was bogged down. I could hardly get it to go, and it felt like I was gonna break this thing. However, when I was on the RFN e-bike, this thing hauled me around with no problem at all, and I could zip around on it. The motor had plenty of strength and power to get me around. So if you have a slightly larger kid, like an 8-year-old that wants to ride these, I feel like they'll have more power and more fun on the RFN e-bike. One nice thing about both of these e-bikes though is they both have adjustable speed levels. They have 3 different speed options for you, but the RFN has a faster top speed. It maxes out at 21 miles an hour, whereas this one only maxes out at 15 miles an hour. So this can go much faster, but then you can still ride it in a slower speed, whereas this one only goes up to 15 miles an hour, but you still can ride it in a slower speed if you want to as well. The time it takes to fully charge the battery on the Hiboy DK1 is around 5 hours, where on the RFN it only takes around 2.5 hours. So it's about half the amount of time it takes to fully charge this, and that's a good thing because both of these batteries aren't removable. They're stuck on these e-bikes, so you can't swap them out if your kid wants to keep riding. But this one only takes 2.5 hours to charge, where this one takes 5 hours, so it's much longer time that your kid's not going to be able to ride the bike, to wait until it's fully charged up. And then once it is charged, the RFN E500 also lasts longer as well. You can ride this up to 15 miles on one charge, where on this you can only ride it 13 miles on one charge. And I noticed a slight improvement on the battery life on the RFN versus the Hiboy. A few features that the Hiboy includes that this doesn't is this comes with a horn and also a front headlight, where this doesn't come with any of those features. But one safety feature that this comes with is a wrist strap for your kid to wear in case they fall off the bike. It will automatically disengage it, so the throttle will no longer work, whereas this doesn't have one of those safety mechanisms built into it. And then the last noticeable difference between these two products is the price. At the time of this recording, the Hiboy DK1 comes in at around $500, whereas the RFN comes in at around $800. So that's a $300 price difference. So if you want to save some money and go for a budget option, this might be the better route for you. However, if you like all those better premium features and you want your e-bike to last a little bit better, then you might want to consider the RFN e-bike and just spend that extra $300. Now, also, when you check on their websites, a lot of times I see that they're running little discounts. So you might be able to get this for like $70 off, or you might be able to get this for like $90 off. So pay attention to that and use the coupon codes if they offer them. So that's the last thing I want to share with you. But honestly, I feel like this is maybe a better budget option if you're trying to save some money. But if you're okay spending that little bit of extra cash, then I feel like this will be the better option for you, because it's just an all-around better product. The components on it are better, the performance is better, the riding experience is better. And so if you have multiple kids that are going to be using it, or if you want it to last over the span of your child's life from like 3 to 10, then this one might be the better option for you. So there it is. That's the difference between the Hiboy DK1 versus the RFN E500 kids electric dirt bike. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them in the comments. And I'll put a link to both these products in the description as well if you want to check them out for yourself. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.